In this video, I'm going to look at a very important evaluation or simplification problem, and that is the difference quotient. The reason this difference quotient is so important to a pre-calculus student is that this difference quotient is, in many ways, it's the foundation of much of what we base calculus on. So trust me when I say that when you're doing pre-calculus algebra, you really need to master evaluating a difference quotient. And one reason you need to master this difference quotient now is so that when you get to calculus, you can focus more on what the purpose of the difference quotient is and less on actually simplifying or evaluating it. So let's work on that now. If we have this difference quotient, and the difference quotient itself is given to us, here it is. The formula, if you want to think of it that way. It's not actually a formula, but this expression, f of x plus h minus f of x, all divided by h, when h doesn't equal 0. That's the difference quotient. You don't have to memorize that, but you do need to be able to apply it. And here's how you apply it. Could I recommend this method? And just trust me that doing it this way is really going to help you. And then once you get to where you can do this yourself, you're going to be set to run free with it. You don't have to continue to do it this way once you know that you're getting it correct time and time again. But what we're going to look at is that just rewriting it, f of x plus h minus f of x. So we've got our f of x plus h, and then subtract f of x. I'm going to do that vertically, like one above each other. And then once I get that result, I'm going to divide by h. Do you see that? So try it this way, putting them one above each other so that they just cancel out some of those terms. The f of x terms cancel right out of our f of x plus h terms. And here's what it looks like. When I have f of x is given as 9x, I've got 9 times something. That something, in this case the x, and 9 times x, what we're going to do is we're going to replace that something with, we're going to replace that x with x plus h. Do you see what I've just done there? What I've done is I've gone to the function 9x, and I've rewritten it 9 times x plus h. So where this is written 9 times x, what am I replacing the x with? I'm replacing the x with x plus h. Now I'm going to simplify that, and when I simplify it, I get 9 times x plus 9 times h. Next, I'm going to subtract f of x. What is f of x? F of x is 9x. So I'm going to subtract 9x from this. So I'll do minus, let me erase this minus and move it over here. I'm going to do minus 9x. And you know what? When you do that correctly, you will always see some of the terms cancel, at least one term, and often more than one. So what are we left with when we have the 9x plus 9h and we subtract 9x? What we're left with here is, of course, a 9h. So we have f of x plus h minus f of x, and that gave us 9h. All that's left to do now is to take that difference, the 9h, and divide that difference by h. So 9h divided by h, the h divided by h divides down to a 1. So it's 9 times 1, or just 9. So this difference quotient, when f of x is 9x, is equal to 9. That's all there is to it. But a lot of our problems are more complicated looking than that. So now that you've gotten the process down, let's look at another example that's maybe a little bit more involved. Once again, we're going to take our difference quotient, our f of x plus h minus f of x. Here I've written it one above each other, right? F of x plus h minus f of x. And then after we do that subtraction, we'll divide by h. Now what makes this one a little more complicated is that we've got a more complicated function. So we've got our item, our x squared. So we're going to replace the x with an x plus h. So we have x plus h squared. If f of x is x squared minus 8x plus 9, then f of x plus h means that in place of every x, we fill in x plus h. So we have x plus h quantity squared minus 8 times x plus h plus 9. And then what we'll do with that is we'll subtract the f of x from it. Now, to simplify that, I could simplify it to the right, but I'm going to just go ahead and simplify it below instead, if that's okay. So I'm going to rewrite f of x plus h below this, because I'll actually do the simplification. X plus h times x plus h is going to give us x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. If you don't believe me, then go ahead and off to the side do the x plus h times x plus h and FOIL it or distribute it. And you'll get this x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus 8 times x minus 8 times h. You see what I'm highlighting these by using a different color so that you recognize that that negative 8 distributes to x and distributes to h. So there we have it. That's all it is for the f of x plus h. So here's our f of x plus h. Next, what are we going to do? We're going to subtract f of x. We're going to subtract x squared, subtract the opposite of 8x, so that's add 8x, subtract 9. What have I just done here? I've subtracted f of x. Subtract x squared, subtract the opposite of 8x, so that's add 8x, and subtract the 9. Look at what happens when I do that. Subtraction. Do you see what cancels? That x squared minus x squared, the opposite of 8x plus 8x, 9 minus 9, those all go away. And what am I left with? 2xh plus h squared minus 8h. That's what I get for the difference, the f of x plus h minus f of x, 2xh plus h squared minus 8h. The only thing left to do now is to divide everything by h. When I divide everything by h, that's the same thing as dividing each individual piece by h. H divided by h is 1, so I'm left with 2x. H squared divided by h leaves us an h in the numerator. And then minus 8h divided by h gives us a minus 8. And that's it. That's our difference quotient simplified. We get 2x plus h minus 8. And that's, I would say, about as complicated as these examples get. So there's a couple examples of simplifying a difference quotient. And you know, I hope that this examples were beneficial to you and that you followed them. If you didn't follow them and you still have questions about those, I want to encourage you to go back and watch the videos 1 or 2 more times. Try the examples on your own and then see if you can follow along with the video, or reach out to me if you needed a little more guidance or help. If there's especially something specific that you needed some help with, I'm here to help, because online doesn't mean you're on your own, or even watching the video doesn't mean you're on your own. But I hope that these examples have helped you process through how to complete this process.